No fewer than 900 people are believed to have died, including men, women, and children, who died in about 61 boat accidents nationwide. Now, this was between January 2020 and September of 2023. And as you can see, September isn't yet over. With the most recent being in Niger State, it is on this premise that President Bola Tinubu has ordered for a thorough and comprehensive investigation into the recurring boat tragedies that have claimed hundreds of lives across the nation. Special advisor to the president on media and publicity, Ajuri Ngelale, who disclosed this in a statement, says the president directed government agencies, including law enforcement, as well as maritime safety and transportation safety authorities, to collaborate in identifying the causes of these unfortunate and preventable disasters. And he urged that comprehensive safety measures and enforcement must be carried out on boating activities in the country. Joining us now via Zoom to discuss this is occupational health and safety specialist Iden. It's good to have you join us again on TVC Breakfast. Welcome. All right, so talking about, to what extent you agree with whether these accidents, these boat accidents, are preventable. Of course, everybody calls them unfortunate, but to what extent would you call them preventable?
Good morning, and thanks for having me. The truth is that both accidents are preventable and they are accidental. The truth is that nobody wakes up in the morning as a boat rider with the clear intentions to get people drowned. But drowning happened, or boat mishap happened, because what ought to be done were not done, or what ought not to have been done were done. And that's why the accident happens. These are very preventable if we have clear regulations and enforcement, that are channeled towards water transportation in Nigeria. If you look at even the global report, looking at the report that has been released, about 236,000 people die annually through drowning. But when you look at this, Africa and Asia, have the highest figure. Nigeria alone has estimated to have about 27,000 people dying through drowning annually. And this is not a good figure. We need to, as a government and as a people, look inward into what's happening within this space. I think water transportation, is not what we really use, in terms of the water mass that we have around us. But it would have been a very decent and smooth means of transportation. But because we have not been able to harness the opportunities, so the operators, anyone that can buy boats, come into the water space, and we don't have a standard, and this has become a problem. But we have had too many mishaps, too many drowning. It's a case too many. I think we just need to look into this and see what we can do better.
Out of the statistics that you read out, 15 children actually drowned and 25 others were missing when a boat capsized in a river in Sokoto State, northwest Nigeria. That's sometime in May 2023. So the question I want to ask is, are there specific regulations that guard or that serve as guidelines in place that govern waterway safety, and how can they be better enforced?
The issue we have in Nigeria is not the absence of regulations. Yet the regulations we have in Nigeria, maybe most of them may not be up to date, or they may not be up to what's operating in the world that we are in right now. But we have regulations. But the problem we have is that these regulations are never enforced. One of the key things we have is that we write policies, we bring forth regulations, and they end up in the shelf. Even those who are supposed to enforce these regulations, they are never trained, given the requisite training they need to enforce these regulations. I will draw inference from what's happening within labor and safety regulations within Nigeria. You don't just employ people because you want to have jobs for people. You employ somebody from geography, chemistry, biology, or integrated science, and you just say, okay, this is your job. The requisite training that is needed to carry out that job are never given to them. So it is a big problem. So it is, in terms of absence of enforcement, we need to look at clearly what is the reason why these are not enforced, because those who have been employed to enforce these laws don't even know how to go about this. And that's where the conversation as regards this enforcement should begin.
All right, and the president has also now mandating agencies to work together in establishing the root causes, and he added that any agency found wanting in these tragedies will indeed be called out, and the needed action would be done. I wonder what you make of this move by the president.
When you begin to play blame game, what you have just done that you have created a counterproductive system. Blame game does not drive compliance. Blame game only make people to hide reports or to hide incidents and to hide near misses. For me, I don't think that's the best approach. Every man is fallible. Every system has error margin. We have seen this happen right now, looking for who to blame, looking for who to penalize over what has happened. We not build a strong and healthy system. What it has happened, we have to own up to what is it that we didn't do correctly. That's the first place to start. What is it that we could have done that we didn't do correctly? Let's do a post-mortem of the incident from the point to where they capsized, where the mishap happened. What happened along the lines? Let's look at those things that need to be investigated. The truth is that incidents is good because incidents also make us to learn. We have to do what we call the LFI, learning from the incident that has happened. That's the best form of learning. But right now, when we are looking for who to blame, the truth that we need to actually learn from will be swept under the carpet because we are looking at those truths pointing at a certain set of people, and they don't want to be blamed. So those truths end up not coming out. But the truth is that those are the clear things we ought to have learned from to build a formidable system in building back better and forestalling future reoccurrence. I don't think this is the best approach to it. Learning from incidents is the best form. It's the best way we have to learn. We are not saying we don't condemn what has happened. We condemn what has happened, but what are the lessons we have to learn? But blaming people and bringing people to sanctions and penalties is not the best approach. That is my opinion.
Most of those who are affected mainly are usually, especially recent ones, primarily women and children, fleeing to safety after floods, overrun their community. So how do you think communities living near water bodies contribute to promoting a culture of safety among waterway users?
I like the point you just raised, but we must first clear that the last one that happened, most people that were involved in this mishap, most of them were farmers going to their farms. It means that brings the occupational health element to this conversation because those farmers will not be in that boat if they're not going to work. So that's an occupational health issue. But back to the issue of those who live within the communities, where the truth is that you find out that when both mishap happens, in as much as we have agencies who are designed to do the rescue, the first people who come for rescue are local boat operators, local fishermen, and the community within those riverine areas where this thing happened. But what is this showing us? It means we need to have a clear partnership between operators, government, and the people, the local people who operate within these localities. Because if they are the ones who are already forced to come in to rescue, we need to give them, we need to support them with the requisite training. But mind you, the point I'm driving at, I'll bring out from this is that most times they are able to rescue people, bring them out of the water. But the truth is that most of those people still die. The question you're asking is, how come somebody was rescued, brought out of the water, and the person still dies? One of the key things we have learned in the studies, our interaction we've had with these people, because we had a proposal we designed that's supposed to do a training along this line. But one of the key things we found out from this conversation was that people are rescued and brought out, they still die. Why? Because we believe these people they don't have the clear techniques to actually give after rescue support. They keep pressing the stomach of the people that are drowned. All they want to do is to press the water out. Of course, this is all they know. But when you do that, you end up causing what you call secondary drowning to someone who has supposedly survived drowning. Because when you keep pressing their water, what you're doing is that the water moves straight to their lungs and drown them, and they die. So we need to see how we can support these people in two key areas. One, how do we do search and rescue training for these people within the riverine areas? Secondly, how do we train them in basic first aid that talks about how to respond to people in drowning so that they are able to get people out of the water, and they are also able to put them in recovery position where that water can gradually come out of their body and they are alive. And these are clear issues. I think government need to partner this community so that we need to have peace. Even as people travel through the water, we shouldn't be apprehensive knowing that our relative, our loved ones are going through the water. We don't know what happens next. I don't think this is what we need in this time that we are in.
Let's stay on your earlier point, regarding the occupational hazards, as you already established in this case. I mean, these are farmers, and at this time now, or in their localities, the water transportation may just be the only mode for them to move around. But then again, the waters could be treacherous with the rains and all. I wonder how, what advice you would also be given at this time.
Okay, for farmers, I mean, where we still have the rainy season, the water torrent and is high, I think there is no job, there is no work, no task that is too important for you to lose your life for. And I repeat, no job is too important for the life of a Nigerian to be lost for. If you look at the water torrent, it's not good enough for you. I mean, to travel through to get to your farm or your workplace at that morning or that day, it's better you let it go. A man that is alive lives to work tomorrow. But a man who takes the risk and dies today, when you die, that chapter of your life is closed. But you need to understand also, it's not just about your death that we are concerned about. When a man who goes to work and dies as a result of going to work or work that he or she does, it is not about the primary victim, who is the man that died, that is the issue. The death of every employee causes what you call secondary and most times tertiary victims. If it's not just about you, it's about what the death of that worker, the pain it leaves behind for the employee's family is what we should be concerned. So before you take such uncalculated risk, please think about your family members. Think about people that will be impacted as a result of your action or the decision you are about to make. Before you make those decisions, you should look at those people, look at the impact, and look at how they will feel, how devastated they will be by your careless decision. And that should be one of the key elements that should inform your decision choice.
Well, for centuries, there have been people, traveling using the waters. Those who make discovery of different places, the Mungo Park of this world, talk about the one that discovered, we know Vasco da Gama, all of those names.
Magellan.
Exactly. So even in Nigeria, we know a lot of people who travel using the waterways, even in the biblical accounts. But then I feel that there must have been technological advancements beyond the fact that we have ships, beyond the fact that we have marine engineering and etc. Those local those who live in the rural areas who have no means of transportation other than to go through the waters. Are there any technological advancements or innovations that can enhance safety on water, such as using the GPS tracking, emergency communication devices or safety apps that can be introduced to these people?
Thank you so much. I like your clear knowledge of history. Mostly reminds me of Voyage of Discovery. The truth is that, yes, there are a lot of ways, to track this. But the truth is, we need to see how we can build from the known to the unknown. And the known, let's look at those who work from the local communities. Historically, our fathers have been, those that live in the riverine have always journeyed through waters. The thing you'll be asking is, what were they doing different? the water current that you see coming determine the speed at which you will go. What we have today is that most times people buy boats and enter the water. That's all they want to do. Everything you need to do, you need to have adequate knowledge of that job or that task and be adequately trained and certified. The question you will be asking ourselves firstly is, where are the training centers in Nigeria where boat operators are adequately trained, certified? Even if they are certified, is there any program that talks about training and retraining, validation of your certification? You see, I mean, in developed countries, you have people that still work along this line. But the difference we have from what we have here and what they have in that place is that they have come to realize how risky, I mean, traveling through waters could be, operating through waters could be. And they have identified as a risky pathway. And what they have done is to see, what can we do differently? I mean, we are not saying there will be no accident, but to reduce the speed of accident to something that is not worrisome, to a non-significant ratio. And one of the things they first start doing is, how do we create training for boat operators? How do we create training that will talk about what is speed, nautical speed per minute that you can take? You know, we need to start looking at this element. What are those safety equipment, PPEs that we should have? We are not, no matter how tender you want to be or how you want to go about your boat opening, there could be sometimes when you're in the midst of the sea and there could still be storm, turbulent. I mean, like you said, even Jesus had turbulence in the sea. But what do you do? Should this happen? What are the remedial action plans? What are the preparedness plan that you are putting in place? Now, what about the vests that they have to use, the floaters? Are they available? If they are available, are they in good shape? You see, this is what they have been able to think through. But we don't go to inspect these floaters, this vests that these people have in their boats. I mean, some time ago, I was going to Apapa. The traffic was so bad, so I had to park in Marina to use the waterway. As a matter of fact, I was afraid to come back through the water because I had my heart in my hand. Along the line, something entered the engine and the engine stopped. These are things we should look at. Our waters, environmental system, all the nylons we have in this Lagos, they all end up in our waters. And this also have a lot of impact negatively on the engine of these boats that we have in the water. So it's a whole lot of baggage that we need to see how we can sit down, not to just one part of ministry of government. All stakeholders need to sit down and look at this issue. We unbundle it. Let's identify what are the risks, one after the other. How can this risk be mitigated? How can we write policy that speaks to this risk? I think this will be a good way to start. It's not a sprint. This will be a very long marathon, because where we are right now and where we ought to be, I mean, the difference is clear, but we must start from somewhere and start having this engagement and this conversation, because the truth is that government is the custodian of people, of public safety, and that they must initiate this and get all stakeholders on board, see how we can make our waterways better. If we do that, even, I mean, people will be comfortable to use waterways and we reduce the traffic on the street. I mean, it's a great thing. We're surrounded by water. We need to harness the possibilities and the benefits perfectly. But while harnessing this, we must guarantee the safety of the people.
And in terms of response of government and other bodies who have been responding so far to what we have seen in some parts of the country, including Adamawa and Niger states. Of course, we are seeing them providing life jackets now. There's also the issue of most of these victims couldn't swim, yet that mode of transportation is the only thing that they could use to navigate within their locations. What are your thoughts in this regard? And you've also, said some of your expectations, but in terms of sustaining this, what do you hope to see in the nearest future or from this crop of investigations?
You see, historically, one of the things that would have been expected of Nigerians is that because we are surrounded by water, every Nigerian naturally should have been able to swim. But what we have, the reverse is the case. I personally, I don't know how to swim, so because of that, I don't want to stay close. I don't want to go through water. But the truth is that we need to make it what will be mandatory for people who we know live within this area. Or make it something that government can encourage and let people. I mean, I read the story of, somebody called Rando in Lagos State. I think it was one of the leaders in Lagos State many years ago. And he, in his place where he stays in Ikoyi, he saw people, market women that are going through boat, how they were capsizing and dying, and they couldn't swim out of the water. And what he did, it was, you see, clear intervention, simple and plain. What he did was to create a swimming pool and make that swimming pool available for people to come and learn how to swim. And this was intervention the history has this, and that was many years ago. I think this is what we should bring back to our I won't say curriculum right now, how we can create opportunities for encourage it and incentivize it, so that having knowledge of swimming should be part of our culture. That, yes, I think this is better than wanting to just make us learn how to speak French. That's good also, but having knowledge of swimming should be a part of what we encourage. And when we do this, you see that children naturally grow. If you go to somewhere like Bayelsa, where you have those different areas, those that live in the creek, the truth is that those people, they swim like fish. Why? Because their natural habitat, nature demands that for them to survive in those areas, they must know how to swim. And this is something that I think we should encourage. I mean, there are clear interventions, no matter how simple they may be, that will make this a possibility. Then secondly, you mentioned something about the life jacket. We need to also look at the state of those life jackets. Life jacket expires. Most times, you wear those life jackets and mishap happens. You find out that the life jackets are not able to sustain you because most of them expire. We need to also be able to inspect the state of this life jacket on a daily basis. It's not just about the life jacket. What about the main pilot, the main operator of the boat, driver of the boat? How much of medical assessment do we do for this? I give you a clear example. Just have a picture of a man who is driving boat with about 150 passengers in it, but no one knew that man has a neurological defect or a neurological issue. And midway into the sea, this man has what you call seizure. Just have that picture in mind. What happens? So it's not just about what we should do on having the safety equipment. The man that is in charge of 150 lives, we must know his state of health. And this should be done routinely. So most times we talk about pre-employment fitness to work. We don't look at this as what is necessary. But when the outcome of what we ignored happens, everybody starts running helter-skelter. We need to see the medical fitness of that man that's operating that boat. How well does he see? Have we seen his visual acuity? How well does he hear? If a bigger ship is coming and the horn is on, does he hear properly? I mean, does he know? I mean, these are things we should look out for. Is he hypertensive? A little shock, a little near miss, does he go into shock? We need to look at the total well-being, total health and health of this boat operator or boat captain. And this is also a crucial issue that we must bring to the conversation table.
Interesting stuff. You actually mentioned how sacrosanct in the swimming should be for everyone. But then you've also given some tips, which I want you to, further expand for anyone who will be using the waterways. Not only for those who are using it for occupational purposes, but those who are also using it for recreational, means as well. Because sometimes some people will feel like, okay, I want to celebrate my honeymoon, or I want to, have some escapism from work, and the next thing they think of is to go into the waters. What are the safety tips that you feel that people need to have at the back of their mind beyond learning to swim and wearing life jackets?
Thank you so much. I think one of the things that will be a very clear take from this is, firstly, let the government bring these people together and certify these people. I mean, after all that has to be done, when they have met all those requirements, government should certify these people. And the operators operating companies that they have certified, they should publish their names. What will this do to you? When they publish the names of those they have certified, it means when I want to go on a cruise, I have a database to look out the names that government has accredited or certified. This gives me further confidence. It means I'm sure that government is on these people, and the government safety requirement along this line have been met, and that's the reason why government certified them. Outside that, you should always learn to have, if you can, have your own life jackets. Have your own life jacket and be sure that what you have is the right thing, not what has been altered. That's very crucial. Look at the boat operators you want to follow or you want to use. Look at their accident history if you can. But most times that is difficult to find in this country, where incident reporting is always missing. We need to start learning the culture of reporting incidents, because this is the only place we can actually provide the accident history of companies we want to use. Then look at when you get to the day you want to do this cruise or this getaway. Look at the weather. Look at the water torrent. If it's not safe, you feel it's not safe, you can actually change your dates. In a rush. Sometimes when we are predetermining what we want to do, and a lot of things are in our mind, we see red flag, we see signals. It looks like it's difficult to go back because we planned this for so long. This is the day, then we must have this thing, let's manage. And this is one of the culture that we manage, and we enter the water and we never get back to our loved ones. And this is a good place. We must think about these issues.
All right. On a final note, what are your thoughts on the rain so far and the impact, and most importantly, our readiness as a country and a people?
When rain comes, the water heightens also, because all the rain that you come, they also flow into the waters, and that's it. But you must understand also, when we talk about drowning, really, I mean, people die through drowning. It's not only through the boat mishap. People also drown through flood. While the floods are here, we have seen several videos of water torrent and how flood has devastated community and people died. But we must understand that at the point that we are in also, we don't have good water channels. I mean, that's one problem we have in this country. So you should be careful, knowing you should be able to know exactly where you live in your neighborhood. If it rains, is it so bad? Is it so flooded? If that's the kind of neighborhood you live in, and when such rain, when it pours like that, if you have a place you're already out, you have a place to stay out, please stay out if possible, because at the end of the day, you're coming into flood. Mostly when it's at night, most people that have died through, got drowned through flooding, most of them find their way to their neighborhood at night, and you find out that they get subsumed by flood. But we must be careful also, and take personal responsibility. While we heap a lot of these things on government's desk, we must also take personal responsibility and be able to do what you call a quick of the mind safety assessment of your actions before you embark on those actions.
All right, we want to say a big thank you, Iden, for your contributions on the program this morning. Many thanks again, Ehi.
Pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.